Hello, my name is Mark Starvoitov, and welcome to my level for Project 1 called Strawberry Peaks. In this level, I tried to make changes to make the level less hazardous, as it seemed like many of the critiques from Project 1B were that it was incredibly difficult and frustrating, albeit creative. So in this first section, you'll notice that one of the main changes that I made is that sometimes the enemy cat, when it's facing the right direction, will actually go towards this checkpoint that I placed earlier. But I decided to go around that by making it elevated on a small platform. You'll also notice that two blocks that were here previously, an explosive block on top of a spike block, was removed, as I think it created a bunch of confusion. And now when you go into this hidden section, instead of being killed, which also wastes more time for the player, you're simply dropped down and the player doesn't really have any, connotations, negative connotations to it. So the player can go into here and discover this sort of secret area, which teleports them to the traversal, which is Cramped Corridor, where they can get the opportunity to get a pumpkin pie. And if they wouldn't have gone there, they can simply just do a double jump and get up to this area. And I was able to test it where even if they try to double jump onto this platform, they won't be able to get there. Now onto the Magma Mia traversal, where they have to hop across magma blocks, otherwise they would be launched straight up into spikes, while also dodging a laser. And they have to perfectly time the jump so that they land on the cloud. Here I also made the spike block more obvious, because before it was more of a hidden spike block that the player wasn't really aware of until they were right on top of it, which also gave a lot of frustration. I'm going to try to move quick because, as I said, this was a time level, but hopefully the checkpoints give me enough clues. In this area, I changed the enemy from a fireball, from a frisbee, to a fireball. And the turret is also a little bit of a problem, but here they just have to fight the wind, get the berry, and then go back, get launched up, touch the blocks here, dodge the turret. Let me do that one more time, and then get launched up into this section. Next, this is the laser loop. So here the player has to dodge all the lasers. Quite simple, honestly. You just have to really go through it quick. Many players were saying that that was giving us some problems. And then the chance chair, which rolls you up into this section, which before just sort of dropped you straight into the danger. But here I sort of made it stop and then added like a small checkpoint so that the player can breathe and really think about it. And here there used to be a ranged enemy, but now I put a toaster, which spawns a simple melee enemy. It's sort of meant to just be kind of an annoyance and not really a big problem. And now in this section, you really just have to time all the lasers, and once you get through, you'll be able to beat the level. Now I went through that kind of fast, but many of the big changes that I made was around this area. Again, I said before that this enemy is now a fireball enemy. The frisbees that it was throwing before had the range to go completely to this side of the wall, and then when they dropped down, it sort of interfered with the player sort of being able to get back up onto this platform in order to use the magma blocks to get out. And they would also fly through the clouds over here, sort of blowing up these explosive blocks preemptively, so when the player got down, they would just assume that they would have to go through here. And this area is kind of cluttered anyways. It's a bit confusing, so I think, the less frisbee mines, the better. So the main changes, again, I made were down here, sort of making this a little bit less frustrating. Also making sure that spawn camping grenades weren't a thing. I didn't make any changes in here in particular. There is a spike underneath this explosive block, but I don't think, that was too much of a problem. Magma Mia, this spike is now a little more obvious, so the player, it's still a problem. The player will have to sort of get around that, but I think a simple jump is not too big a deal. I did not change any of the laser loops because I thought it was pretty simple. I mean, I went through it on my first try. Many players were complaining about how a lot of the laser timings were inconsistent. And I found that it was a problem, not all the time, but I found that if you wait a little bit, they'll line up, they'll like sync up their laser timings, their blastings. The chance share also doesn't always lead you to the rollers, but there really isn't any hazards here, so you just keep trying it over and over again until it works. I find that just sitting kind of in the middle is the best way to go about it. If you sit too close to the edge or too close to the back, it kind of won't work. And then this last checkpoint I added here because I thought, well, for this last run, it's also a little bit inconsistent, but also this checkpoint will give you extra time. So not only are you like right near the finish where you have this very last traversal, you sort of got through all the beats, you really just have to finish the level as the last beat, so to speak. And also the use of the strawberry here, if the player really wanted to get extra goodie points, they can go for this last strawberry, making it just a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult where, you know, you have this laser that extends along this line. And so really that's going to be like the main issue. These lasers that only cover 2 squares aren't really that big of an issue. If anything, I believe that the turrets are really like the biggest problem. This one covers this area and this area, which is kind of an issue. And then this one covers this area above the water and also this area above the sneaky steel last beat strawberry. But yeah, those are the main changes that I made to my level, and this is my level as a whole.